To talk more about the Pope and the days ahead, we're joined by David Gibson. He's the director of Fordham University's Center on Religion and Culture. Thank you so much for being here.
Great to be here.
Can we talk for a moment about his legacy and that message of simplicity?
That's really what it gets to, and what Father Tom Reese and Tony were saying. It's his style as much as anything. He was so warm. Remember after he was elected, he went the next day to pay his own hotel bill. Remember that? He moved, they were talking about the people's Pope. That's a great way to describe him, because remember also, he moved out of the apostolic palaces. If you've ever been to Rome, those huge, grand rooms where the popes live. He said, the rooms are large, but the doors are small. I need to be with people. He would go down to the cafeteria in that Vatican guest house where he lived. That's the kind of Pope he was. But also, personnel is policy when it comes to the papacy. And he really did change. He opened doors. He started processes that will be hard to undo.
And let's talk about funeral and burial plans and what they're going to look like.
It's really a very established timeline. In about 4 to 6 days, there will be a funeral. Maybe as soon as Saturday. They want to give the cardinals from around the world, 200 cardinals from around the world, time to get there. So a funeral, and there's an official 9 days of mourning. That will continue. But after that, the cardinal electors, 135 of them who are under the age of 80. There are 250 cardinals, but only 135 with a right to vote in the conclave in the Sistine Chapel. They'll start gathering in closed-door meetings where all the real kind of campaigning, if you will, or talk about what does the church need next and who is the best person to carry that forward. Then, maybe in 2 to 3 weeks, they will go into the conclave, into the Sistine Chapel, and they will begin voting.
The question of who, of course, people will begin to talk about. Are there any cardinals that you see as what would be considered front runners?
There, it's a fool's errand to guess who would it be. This is the worst beat. It's harder than covering the White House, because at least in the presidential race, it's going to be one of two people. You're going to wake up the next morning. In this case, 135 cardinals go in. Any one of them literally could come out on the balcony dressed in white. But there are maybe 20 to 25 different cardinals. Some of the big questions: do you want to go back for an Italian restoration, Cardinal Parolin, the Secretary of State, or Cardinal Pizzaballa, who's the patriarch in the Holy Land? He's Italian-born, but he lives in Jerusalem. That would be an amazing pick.
David, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Great to be here.
And stay with CBS News New York on air and online for continuing coverage as we look back on the life and legacy of Pope Francis.